So if this was only mentioned for the first time in 1927, some 14 centuries ago, rather 14 and a half centuries ago, in the Quran, it is stated in Al-Anbiya, Surah Al-Anbiya, the prophets, the story of the prophets, 21:30, Allah Jalla fi'ula, Azza wa Jal, states, أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ أَفَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Now you need someone to translate, don't you? Lucky I'm around, if you trust my translation. No, but this is a serious matter. There's time for jesting, for kidding, and there's time for very serious matter, which is very important to you, anyone who watches. So, أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, have the non-believers not seen? A few times in the Quran it's mentioned, have you not seen? Of course, we weren't there, we haven't seen, but Allah Jalla fi'ula, in His wisdom, uses the term seen to give us some facts that, in fact, like these scientific miracles, you can concretely touch them. You can touch the existence of God subhanahu azza wa jal. You can touch it in these verses. So He said, do the non-believers, so those who do not believe in the existence of God, do they not see that the skies and the earth were one entity? كانتا رتقا, one entity, one mass. ففتقناهما, and we split them asunder, we separated them. ففتقناهما وجعلنا من الماء كل شيء حي, and we have made from water every living thing. Would they then not believe? أفلا يؤمنون. Would they then not believe? So God have given us the proof. Why wouldn't you believe in the existence of God if He has given us the proof? And it is compatible with modern science. So this is the first verse. We shall take another verse from Fussilat 41:11, different, but it discusses also the how the universe, how God created the universe. In Fussilat 41:7, ثم استوى إلى السماء وهي دخان فقال لها وللأرض ائتيا طوعا أو كرها قالتا آتينا طائعين. Translation again. And He directed, He is Allah Azza wa Jal, Jalla fi'ula. So Allah directed Himself to the sky, and it was smoke. And He said to it, to the sky, and to the earth, come. Like come hither, but rather come into being. This is the Big Bang. Come into being. So come willingly or reluctantly. So come, whether willingly or by force, come into being. And they both answered, قالتا, both of them answered. And they said, we come willingly, in willing obedience. So they said, we come willingly. So this is yet again the sky and the earth were one entity, and there was smoke, and Allah asked them to come into being, commanding them to come into being, so as to create the universe as we know it, or the universe as we don't know it. No one does. Even the physicists, and the most famous of them, such as the English and Mancunian from Manchester City, Brian Cox. He's a professor at Manchester University. He's one of the leading scholars and knowledgeable man in the world about cosmology. So this is it. We know that the universe was created from the Big Bang, as the scientists refer to it. Okay. But the point I wanted to make, I'm awfully sorry, is that they're still discovering many other planets. We say 2 trillion galaxies, but they're still sometimes in one go, just recently, a couple of months ago, so in one single go, they discovered 450 stars. I think it was 450 stars, I'm fairly sure. They discovered in one go, just by looking through these modern equipment and modern telescopes and what have you. So the thing we need to point here, the 2 verses were rehearsed to you, actually, 14.5 centuries ago, that Allah stated this in the Quran, that the revelation came from Allah through the angel Gabriel to the Prophet, angel Gabriel alayhi salam, to the Prophet Muhammad salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. They came to him 14.5 centuries ago, but only in 1927, for the first time, that the scientists even suggested, and from then up to now, there's still a lot of things are still developing all the time. In fact, when you ask scientists, and talking about Brian Cox, I watched a couple of videos, or a few videos of his of late, so in preparation of this subject, for instance, and sometimes he goes all over the world, Australia, wherever, New Zealand. So, and he goes and they ask him questions, and when he replies to the questions, it's not the only one. It's not to demean him as he is one of the. It's not to demean by any means, because he's one of the leading scholars in the world. But when you ask him 10 questions, he'll barely reply to 8. Why?